What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Kangaroo Black, coming back once again to talk about my Alabama Crimson Tide and one college football analyst, Joel Klatt, and his comments on what he had to say about my Alabama Crimson Tide. And it's sad to say, I agree with what a lot Joel Klatt had to say. And what he had to say is Alabama is on a worse trajectory than Georgia following the 2024 season. And yes, I agree. If you look at the 2024 season that Alabama had compared to what Georgia had, hell yeah, Alabama is on a worse trajectory. No doubt about it. So Alabama, they lost 4 games, 3 in the regular season and the bowl game. 3 of the 4 losses was to unranked teams. And you look at Georgia, okay? They lost 3 games, 2 games during the regular season and a playoff game. Georgia, they SEC champions for 2024. All right, made a playoff appearance. Okay, I don't care that Georgia lost to Alabama. If you look at their seasons after that game, Alabama's season went downhill, went south. After the win against Georgia, Alabama, like I said, they went 5-4, became an old regular run-of-the-mill football team. Bums is what I call them. Georgia, they season, even though they went on to lose 2 games, well, 1 more game in the regular season after that loss to Alabama, SEC champions. Playoff. Who had the better season? The Georgia Bulldogs. That one loss to Alabama don't mean a hill of beans. It was just a regular season game. That's all it was. It's just something for Alabama fans to brag about. That's it. It didn't mean nothing, though. Not for Alabama, it didn't. Or Georgia. So, yeah. Coming off the 2024 season, Alabama is on a worse trajectory than Georgia. I agree with Joel Klatt on that. All right. Joel Klatt has Georgia firmly inside of his way too early top 10 for next season and has Alabama on the outside looking in. And I can understand that for the reasons that I just talked about. As the Crimson Tide enter year 2 post Nick Saban, the position between them and the Bulldogs is fascinating. For years, Saban's Alabama was a program Kirby Smart could match, but he could not surpass. And once Saban retired, Kirby Smart won the SEC championship. Hell, he did that while Saban was a head coach. But anyway, he had one of the weaker Georgia teams he's ever had, with Texas announcing itself as a legitimate player right away in the SEC. Has the balance of power shifted away from Alabama and Georgia? No, I disagree with that question. I don't think that question should even be asked. All right. Joel Klatt has Texas at number 2 in his way too early top 25 rankings for 2025. He got Georgia in the top 10, and he got Alabama on the outside looking in. Now, I can agree with him if the question was solely at the balance of power shifted from Alabama. Just looking at the 2024 season, I could say yes. But to say have the balance of power shifted from Georgia in favor of Texas, hell no. I don't agree with that question being asked. You know why? Because Georgia beat Texas twice in 2024, the regular season and in the SEC championship game. And in the SEC championship game, Georgia totally dominated Texas in all phases of the game. So I don't even know why he asked that question. And I don't know why he put Georgia in that question. The question should have been, have the power shifted in favor of Texas, shifted from Alabama in favor of Texas? Because it ain't shifted from Georgia in the favor of Texas, because Texas can't beat Georgia. Just my opinion. Give me your opinion in the comment section. Do you agree or do you not agree with that? If Georgia bounces back next season, all will be normal. If Alabama flattens again or falters again, DeBoer will be in trouble. You damn right he'll be in trouble. His seat will be hot as hell. Hot as hell. If he can't get Alabama to a 12-team playoff in year 2, man, he might not ever coach at Alabama again. If he's not looking good in the middle of the season, he might not make it through the season. I'm going to tell you that right now. And I'm just being real. So, yeah, he'll be in some serious trouble. I don't know what to do with Alabama right now. Who's their quarterback? What's the standard going? What's the standard going to be under Coach Kalen DeBoer? With Jalen Milroe declaring for the 2025 NFL Draft, Alabama will be looking to either Ty Simpson or Austin Mack or freshman Keelan Russell as its starter next season. Simpson, who has been around the program for several years, 3, but he has 50 career pass attempts. Mack was the heir apparent to Michael Penix at Washington, but he has appeared in 1 game in 2 years. Russell obviously has 0 experience at the college level. Okay, my disdain with this is you saying, asking a question, who's going to be Alabama quarterback? Well, guess what? Just like Alabama going to have a first-year starter, Georgia going to have a first-year starter, Texas going to have a first-year starter. So why ain't you asking that same question with Texas and Georgia? I understand that with Texas, Arch Manning is the next in line. With Georgia, Gunnar Stockton is the next in line. So you should know that Ty Simpson is the next in line for Alabama. Just like Austin Mack or Keelan Russell could potentially beat out Ty Simpson, those quarterbacks behind Gunnar Stockton and Arch Manning could potentially beat them out. But you ain't asking that question about those 2 teams, Georgia and Texas. Who is their quarterback? Come on now, let's make it make sense. Let's be fair across the damn board when you talking about or comparing Alabama to Georgia or Alabama to Georgia and Texas. Let's be fair about it. All 3 of them is going to have first-year starting quarterbacks. Come on now, make it make sense. We talking about potential starters, not a legitimate right now quarterback. Can't neither one of these teams say this is going to be our quarterback. Neither one of them. You won't know until spring and really after fall camp. You won't know. If you having a real quarterback battle, you ain't going to know. Come on now. This reminds me of when coming into the 2023 season, the competition or whatever between Georgia and Alabama. All the talking heads, fans outside of Alabama football fan base, who going to be y'all quarterback? Y'all don't even know who you're going to be your quarterback. Who's going to be your quarterback? When both teams was coming into the season with first-year starters, Jalen Milroe, Carson Beck. But everybody had Carson Beck pinned in as Georgia starter. They didn't have no questions surrounding his game, but they had all the questions surrounding Alabama quarterback position in Jalen Milroe. And it turned out that Carson Beck could never beat Jalen Milroe. The one you had no questions about could never beat the one you had all of the questions about. So nobody learned from that situation. At least Joel Klatt didn't. At least Paul Feinbaum didn't. They didn't learn from that. But anyway, let's keep it moving. With Jalen Milroe declaring for the NFL draft, well, I already read that. But Alabama has issues beyond the quarterback spot. DeBoer struggled with foundation building in year 1. The Crimson Tide were sloppy, at times undisciplined, and others unfocused. Saban teams went 135-3 in games where they were 14-point favorites or greater. Alabama lost 3 of those games in DeBoer's first season. At Vanderbilt, at Oklahoma, and against Michigan in the bowl game. You can't help but to agree with all of that, because that is damn true. He did have trouble building a damn foundation in his first year. Alabama did play sloppy. Alabama did play undisciplined. And they played unfocused. That's fact. Wasn't focused against Vanderbilt. Wasn't focused against Oklahoma. Wasn't focused against Michigan. Undisciplined against Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, Michigan. Undisciplined. Even against freaking Tennessee, the other loss. Unfocused, undisciplined, and you played sloppy. And that's fact. And Coach Kalen DeBoer going to have to get all of that under control. Coach Kalen DeBoer, what he need to do is get him a hired hand. Hire somebody who's going to enforce discipline. That's what he need to do. He need to hire somebody who's going to motivate those players because at times they seemed unmotivated. Just my opinion. So yeah, in that aspect, yeah, you on a downward trajectory also. And Georgia is in a better position. Shit, Texas too. A lot of other teams. And I'm just being real about it. It's just straight up fact, man. Joel Klatt is right in the comments that he's making. I just had an issue with the question he's asking, who your quarterback? I don't agree with that. I don't agree with the power have shifted from Georgia over to Texas. Now I can somewhat agree with him that the power shifting from Alabama, but just going off the 2024 season. All right. Now that can change in 2025. That can easily change if Alabama get back to their winning ways. And hopefully Coach Kalen DeBoer can, get him to do that. But anyway, it goes on to say Georgia's problems were far less severe. Quarterback Carson Beck struggled with interception issues. Receivers dropped passes. The defense wasn't quite its lofty. The defense wasn't quite to its lofty standards. I can agree with all that because Carson Beck did have interception issues. Receivers dropped a plethora of passes. The most dropped passes in college football last year. All right, and the defense didn't play up to the standard, but they ain't had a defense to play up to the level that 2021 defense since 2021. All right, I think Georgia's defense has slowly been dropping off year by year. My opinion. Anyway, it felt like it was just a down year for Georgia, and yet they navigated the hardest schedule in the country, won the SEC, and they were sitting there in the college football playoff quarterfinals with a backup quarterback, justifying the Bulldogs' inclusion in his top 10. So, if we think Georgia is going anywhere or this is some sort of trend in the wrong direction, I think we'd be sorely mistaken, Kirby Smart said. I can agree with that. If we think Georgia going anywhere, we would be mistaken. But to say Georgia was sitting there in the college football playoff quarterfinals with a backup quarterback. That backup quarterback didn't get them that far. They started Carson Beck did. He went down in the SEC championship game late. Well, I don't know about late, but I can't remember exactly when he got injured. But yeah, Gunnar Stockton came in and took him to the win. But it ain't like Georgia was losing and Gunnar Stockton came in and wheeled them to a win like somebody else did in a national championship game against those Georgia Bulldogs that go by the name of Tua Tagovailoa. It ain't like Gunnar Stockton came or Jalen Hurts the next year in 2018 in the SEC championship game. It ain't like Gunnar Stockton came in that game and did that. They was already winning. All they had to do was not make mistakes, and he didn't make mistakes. Okay, now, don't sit here and say they were sitting in the playoff, or quarterfinals or whatever they went to with a backup quarterback, because that quarterback didn't get them there. No way, no how. He got them there by sitting on the damn sidelines. So, no, I can't agree with that. And they say they navigated the hardest schedule in college football. Coming into the season, It was nowhere near the hardest schedule in college football. Coming into the season, Florida had the hardest schedule in college football. They didn't start talking about Georgia having the hardest schedule in college football until damn near the end of the season, when they seen how everything played out. But at that time, maybe it was the hardest schedule in college football. I really didn't take the time to actually do the research on that. It could have been. But I know at the beginning of the season, Florida had the hardest schedule in college football. So, hey, yeah, I mean, I ain't going to talk too much about that. But anyway, it is what it is, man. But Georgia ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? And we'll see what Gunnar Stockton is going to do. I think Gunnar Stockton is a pretty good damn quarterback. Shit, all season I was thinking that Gunnar Stockton was better than Carson Beck anyway. That's just me. I could have been wrong, but we about to find out in 2025. Where I was at. Let's face it. Bama is on the worse trajectory than Georgia at this point because they have more questions surrounding Alabama and their culture, their staff, who's going to be their quarterback, than there is question about Georgia. I don't have a lot of questions about a team whose last 4 recruiting rankings were second, first, second, and third in the country. I know they're loaded with talent. Well, let's look at Alabama's last 4 recruiting classes. Second, first, second, and fourth. Come on now. Make it make sense, man. Come on now. Make it make sense. Second, first, second, and fourth. But yet, you got all these questions about Georgia. What did he say? Second, when Georgia had the second ranked, what's the name? We had the first. When they had the first, we had the second. Come on now. When they had the second, we had the first, and now they got the third, and now we probably got the fourth. Come on, man. Are you serious? See, now you're nitpicking. Both of these teams always basically is in the top 3. And most, we're going to say always in the top 5. 1, 2, or 3, basically. And now this season, right now, Alabama is sitting at 4th. Right now, Alabama is sitting at 4th in recruiting. Okay, I guess that's the 2026 class, 2025. I don't know. But I know they sitting at 4th right now. But if you want to look at before that shit, Alabama was 1 and 2. Come on, 2021 number 1 recruiting class. 2022 number 2, right behind daggone Texas A&M. 2023 number 1, 2024 number 2. Come on now. And now 2025 we at 4. But you got all these questions about Alabama, but don't have them with freaking Georgia. Come on, man. Make it make sense, man. But it is what it is, man. It be that way sometimes. So, I just wanted to give y'all my thoughts on what Joel Klatt had to say. Let me know in the comment section what y'all think. Do y'all agree with Joel Klatt on everything he said? Or do y'all agree with me on the things that I said? Like I say, I agree with Joel Klatt on a lot of what he said. But I also disagree with him on some of the things he said. But all of this will play out in 2025. All this is just talking points. That's all it is. Just like freaking with these way too early rankings and shit. Ain't nothing but talking points because they don't mean a damn thing. All this talking that we do during the off season, all that matters is what goes on the field during the season and on into the playoffs. So let me go ahead and end this video. Like I say, let me know what y'all think. And remember to be blessed. And KB don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide. And roll damn Tide.